Hey there, all you beautiful Broadway babies! Welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and this is the 60th episode of Broadway Jeopardy! I think that makes this the Diamond Jubilee episode. So fancy. If you like Broadway history, musical theater trivia, and trivial musical theater historians, then hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We are inching our way towards that 10,000 subscribers goal. I've got 26 all new clues ready to test your knowledge of the greatest art form of all time, so let's dive right into this week's game. This is Broadway Jeopardy! Looking at the categories for this week's game, we start off as always with last week's Final Jeopardy category, which is At This Performance, looking at some theatrical luminaries who at one point took on the role of understudy. That's followed by A Chorus Line. The landmark musical celebrated its 50th anniversary this past week, so this category is honoring that brilliant show. After that, it's the Winter Garden Theater, looking at some shows that have played that Broadway venue. That's followed by Songs from the Film. This category looks at some musicals that, though their scores are new, retain one or two songs made famous in their original film source. And last but not least, we have Fantastic Four, honoring the latest entry into my beloved MCU with this category, looking at some show tunes with the word "four" in the title. And we end with the Final Jeopardy category, so make sure and keep track of your scores if you want to play along, so you know how much you can wager on that final clue. We start things off nice and easy with the $200 round, or the Overture round as I call it, but be warned, as the amount increases, so does the difficulty level. Kicking things off in the At This Performance category, your first $200 clue is... Ethel Merman's understudy for Anything Goes was Vivian Vance, best known for playing Ethel Mertz on this beloved sitcom. What is I Love Lucy? Early in her theatrical career, Vivian Vance had the thankless job of being Ethel Merman's understudy, as Merman was famous for never missing a performance. Miss Vance had several other Broadway credits, including Red Hot and Blue and Let's Face It, both by Cole Porter, before she went to Hollywood to brilliantly play second banana to Lucille Ball for almost 20 years. God, I hope you get this $200 clue in the A Chorus Line category, which is... This is the name of the director who is choosing his cast in the Show Within a Show. Who is Zach? The character of Zach, a choreographer who is now directing as well, is clearly very much inspired by Michael Bennett, A Chorus Line's creator, director, and choreographer. Originally, it was actor Barry Bostwick who was to play Zach, but after Bostwick and Bennett artistically clashed over the characterization of Zach, Bostwick left the show and Robert Lapone created the role in the original production. Our first trip to the Winter Garden Theater brings us the $200 clue. This Andrew Lloyd Webber blockbuster played the Winter Garden Theater for almost 18 years before becoming a memory. What is Cats? When Cats closed at the Winter Garden Theater in 2000 after 7,485 performances, it was by far the longest running musical up to that point. As it stands now, Cats is fourth on the list of longest running Broadway shows. The $200 clue in the Songs from the Film category is... Though the musical Rocky featured a new score by Ahrens and Flaherty, it also included Gotta Fly Now from the film, along with Eye of the This. What is the Tiger? I mean, they had to put in that song, right? And finishing up the Overture round in the Fantastic Four category, your last $200 clue is... This Japan-set Sondheim musical envisions the approaching American warships as four black dragons. What is Pacific Overtures? The dramatic song is initially sung by a fisherman and a thief who both witness the approaching nautical danger.
Rolling through the sea, rising from the sea, four black dragons, four volcanoes, spitting fire, spitting fire.
I hope you all pivot, stepped, walked all over that first round. Let's move on to the only slightly harder $400 round now. Circling back to the At This Performance category, your first $400 clue is Charles Nelson Riley was the original standby for Albert Peterson in Bye Bye Birdie, going on only if this leading actor was unable to. Who is Dick Van Dyke? Bye Bye Birdie was Charles Nelson Riley's first Broadway show, and he considered it his big break. Riley's next role was creating Bud Frump in the original production of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, which began performances exactly 5 days after Bye Bye Birdie closed. The $400 clue in the A Chorus Line category is in the musical, this is the auditioner who looks like a shoo-in to get cast, but injures himself during the proceedings and must leave. Who is Paul San Marco? Though if you just answered Paul, that's of course acceptable. The character of Paul San Marco is largely based on the life of Nicholas Dante, a dancer who would co-write the book for A Chorus Line along with James Kirkwood Jr. Dante would not only win the Tony for his work on A Chorus Line, but also the Pulitzer Prize, making him the first ever Latino to win the Pulitzer for drama. Looking at another longtime tenant of the Winter Garden Theater with the $400 clue, Mamma Mia, which opened at the Winter Garden in 2001, takes place on an island in this Mediterranean country. What is Grease? The British musical, using the Swedish ABBA's music for a show set in Greece with an Italian title, is coming back to Broadway after closing 10 years ago, and is returning to the Winter Garden Theater. I gotta tell you guys, seeing the Mamma Mia marquee back on the Winter Garden is a wild experience. I managed the merch for Mamma Mia for over 4 years and roughly 1,600 performances of the show. And seeing that giant bride back on the marquee in front of the Winter Garden, it's a lot. It's a little triggering. It's a little triggering. Moving on to the songs from the film category, your next $400 clue is this Jamaican folk song, used spectacularly in the film Beetlejuice, was added to the score of the musical by Eddie Perfect. What is Deo? Though what is the Banana Boat song is also correct. Besides Deo, they also added in Jump the Line, aka Shake Sonora, to the musical as well, which will be coming back to Broadway this fall for a 3rd time. And your final $400 clue in the Fantastic Four category is Claude sees President Abraham Lincoln while tripping in the number 4score/AB Baby from this revolutionary rock musical. What is Hair? The song was recorded for the film version of Hair, sung by Nell Carter, which can be heard on the film's soundtrack, but the number was ultimately cut, along with several others for pacing reasons. Smashing our way right into the $600 round now, back again at the At This Performance category with the $600 clue. Sutton Foster started her Broadway career as an understudy for Eponine in Les Miserables, where she would sing this solo. What is On My Own?
On my own, pretending he's the night. All alone, I walk here till the morning.
Your next clue in the A Chorus Line category for $600 facing away from the mirrors is dancer Christine and her husband and fellow auditionee Al explain that Christine can't really do this all that well. What is Sing? The newly married couple, Al and Christine, were much bigger roles in early workshops of the musical. They had scenes dealing with the reality of spouses who audition for the same show and what happens when one of them gets the job and the other doesn't. Also early on in the workshops, Al was going to be masculine to a fault, even bordering on homophobic, nearly coming to punches with the openly gay Greg, and Al would have been kicked out of the audition because of it. Luckily, they toned down the character for the final version. This $600 clue in the Winter Garden Theater category is this musical, with songs like Open a New Window, It's Today, and We Need a Little Christmas, opened at the Winter Garden in 1966. What is Maim? We need a revival of Maim, like yesterday. Get someone like Hannah Waddingham or Cecily Strong would be great in Maim. That way we can do a revival of the play Auntie Maim, which I'm a huge fan of, in like 20 years with someone like Emma Stone playing the leading role. Looking at an absolute bop in the songs from the film category with a $600 clue. The popular song I'm a Believer was later added to this musical based on the animated film of the same name during the curtain call. What is Shrek? The banger I'm a Believer was a massive hit for the semi-fictional band The Monkees, before apparently becoming tied to the Shrek film forever in the minds of Gen Z and younger millennials. I'm what's called a geriatric millennial. That's fun. An orchestral version of I'm a Believer was the play-out music, the music the orchestra plays as you leave the theater when the show first opened, but about a year into the Broadway run, the song was fully staged and added as a little tag to the show, just as it was in the original Shrek film.
I thought love was only true in fairy tales. Meant for someone else, but not for me.
And finishing out the round in the Fantastic Four category with the $600 clue. In this William Finn musical, you'll find 4 Jews in a room bitching. What is Falsettos? 4 Jews in a Room Bitching is the opening number to Falsettos by William Finn. Falsettos is a combination of 2 one-act musicals called March of the Falsettos and Falsettoland. When the original March of the Falsettos was being written in 1981, the original title was 4 Jews in a Room Bitching, but it was the musical's director and co-book writer James Lapine that nixed that idea. It's time to really crank up the difficulty a couple of notches with the $800 round now, but before we do, if you're enjoying this week's game, please do me a small favor and hit that little like button for me.
I can do that. I can do that.
Thanks, Mike. It really helps with these videos getting shown to more fine folks like yourselves, but also makes me feel like I'm a singular sensation. Thanks, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Okay, let's keep at it. Checking those playbill inserts in the At This Performance category gives us the $800 clue. In the original production of Pippin, dance icon and Fosse favorite Anne Reinking understudied this role, the love interest to the title character. Who is Catherine? While Pippin wasn't the first Broadway show Miss Reinking appeared in, it was the first time she had met and worked with Bob Fosse. Anne Reinking would of course not only become one of Fosse's favorite dancers, she would become his longtime girlfriend as well. Your $500, $600, $700, $800 clue in the chorus line category is, this is the first word spoken in the musical. What is again? Traditionally, in a blackout, we hear da-da-da-da-da-da again, and the lights come up on the dancers mid-audition. Gotta be one of the best and most thrilling openings to a musical of all time. Heading up to 50th Street to the Winter Garden Theater with the $800 clue. In a revival of Camelot in 1981 at the Winter Garden, this actor played the role of King Arthur, which he also played in the 1967 film version of the Lerner and Loewe musical. Who is Richard Harris? Richard Harris is probably best remembered today for 3 things. Playing King Arthur in the film of Camelot and then a few other times on stage, as the clue mentioned, starring as Albus Dumbledore in the first 2 Harry Potter films, and for having the massive hit song MacArthur Park in the late 1960s. In my opinion, one of the weirdest songs of all time. I don't know, I just don't get it. I don't understand the Cake in the Rain song. It baffles me every time I hear it. I don't know how it was a hit. Maybe you all can explain it to me in the comments. I don't get it. The $800 clue in these songs from the film category is, one of 2 songs added to this musical score from its original film source is the touching Grow Old With You. What is The Wedding Singer? The other song was Somebody Kill Me, both of which were written and performed in the film by Adam Sandler along with Tim Herlihy.
Let me do the dishes in our kitchen sink. Put you to bed when you've had too much to drink. Oh, I could be the man who grows old with you. I'll miss you, kiss you, take your shoes off and rub your feet.
And over in the Fantastic Four category, your $800 clue there is the title character in this musical, with the score by Janine Tesori, sings I Got 4 Kids. What is Caroline or Change? Caroline sings the songs I Got 4 Kids backed up by the washing machine and dryer. That may sound odd to you if you don't know the powerful musical, but in the show, Caroline, a maid for a middle-class Jewish family, spends so much of her time deep down in the basement that she envisions the appliances singing back to her, reflecting her inner thoughts, fears, and frustrations. We've reached that point, my friends. The big show, the main event! It's the $1,000 round. Play me that dramatic music. Best of luck, players. Circling back one last time to the At This Performance category, your first $1,000 clue is Ted Neely understudied the title role in the original cast of this musical, a role he would later play in the film adaptation. What is Jesus Christ Superstar? Ted Neely had originally auditioned for the role of Judas, actually, before being cast as the understudy for Jesus. He would play the title role in the Los Angeles production of the musical, and along with Carl Anderson, who was playing Judas in that production, would be chosen to reprise his role in the 1973 film version of the rock musical. Ted Neely would go on to star in several tours and productions of Superstar throughout his career, playing the role well over 5,500 times. The finale clue to the chorus line category for $1,000 is in the song Nothing, Diana Morales sings of her struggles with her acting teacher in high school named this. What is Mr. Carp is the right response. Morales butts heads with Mr. Carp at the High School for Performing Arts when he teaches method acting. In 1982, there was an off-Broadway revue titled Upstairs at O'Neill's, put together by Annie creator Martin Charnin, that featured a very funny song called Something. The song is sung by Mr. Carp in heaven, and he tells his side of the story in his class with Morales.
Every kid was alert and involved, except Morales. She just sat there like a lump. I said, do something, please just do something. If you would try it, you'd really do it well.
Our last trip to the Winter Garden Theater gives us a $1,000 clue. The short-lived musical Comin' Up Town, starring Gregory Hines, was a musical version of this Charles Dickens novel. What is A Christmas Carol? Comin' Up Town was written by Philip Rose, Peter Udell, and Gary Sherman, who all worked together on the musical Purlie in 1971. The new musical, which opened at the Winter Garden Theater in December of 1979, was a reimagining of the Christmas classic set in Harlem, with Scrooge as a greedy slumlord who's about to foreclose on an apartment building, a rec center, and a church, before going on his famous spiritually led adventure and catharsis. Besides the great Gregory Hines as Scrooge, the cast also included original Dream Girl Loretta Devine as Mary, a love interest from Scrooge's past, original Tin Man and the Wiz Tiger Haynes as Marley, Scrooge's ghostly first partner, and Jennifer Lewis also appeared in the ensemble. The $1,000 clue in the Songs from the Film category is this romantic tune from the film Dr. Zhivago made its way into the short-lived musical version of the property as well. What is Laura's theme? In the film Dr. Zhivago, Laura's theme is just that, a musical theme with no lyrics of any sort. Soon after the film's release, lyrics were added to Laura's theme and retitled Somewhere My Love, which has been recorded by many of the best vocalists, including the late Connie Francis and Frank Sinatra. It's the lyrical version of the song that's incorporated into the score by Lucy Simon, Michael Corey, and Amy Powers for Dr. Zhivago the musical. Dr. Zhivago opened at the Broadway Theater in 2015 and lasted about a month and a half. And the curtain call clue in the Fantastic Four category for $1,000 is the musical In Transit, following a group of people riding the subway whose lives interact, set itself apart by being the first Broadway musical to utilize this form of music. What is a cappella? Yes, In Transit was the first and so far only a cappella musical to play Broadway. The show, which opened at the Circle in the Square Theater in 2016, had book, music, and lyrics by James Allen Ford, Russ Kaplan, Sarah Wordsworth, and Kristen Anderson Lopez, who, with her husband, has written several hits, including the scores for Frozen and the film Coco.
This is what it feels like to be happy in the moment, to realize it's okay. We all get stuck along the way.
And now we've reached the final Jeopardy round, y'all. Time to tally up those scores and decide how confident you feel in the category Frank Loesser. All about the composer, lyricist, and book writer of some of the best and most beloved musicals of all time. Okay, has everyone made their wagers? Denise? Carl? Josh? Okay, here is your final clue. Frank Loesser won his first and only Oscar for this song from the film Neptune's Daughter, one that nearly cost him his marriage. What is Baby It's Cold Outside? Yes, one of the most famous and somewhat controversial holiday classics, Frank Loesser wrote the song in 1944, but sold it to MGM in 1949. For the full backstory on that song, and to bone up for the rest of the Frank Loesser category coming next week, be sure to watch my Broadway 101 video all about the musical master. That's right, I'm not about forcing you to watch my videos. Be warned. And that's this week's game! How did you all fare this week? Were you a Mr. Carp and got something? Or were you more of a Morales with nothing? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys and seeing your scores. As always, the biggest thank you in the world goes to each and every one of my patrons over on Patreon. I wouldn't be able to be here and make these videos if it wasn't for their support. If you want to help support the channel further, be sure to head over to my Patreon and check it out using the link in the video description. You can find me over at Instagram and Blue Sky if you want to connect outside of YouTube. I will be back next week with episode 61, but until then, I'm Mark Bonanni. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Thanks for playing.